Yo, what's up guys? Got PokeaimMD here, and today we're going to be doing a little bit different of a video. Obviously, there are going to be a lot of other videos uploaded today. There'll be Road to Top 10 in RU, Move or Die with the Heat of Fajita Squat, and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, of course. But I wanted to talk about the new tier changes, the May drops and raises, and we have so many cool changes that I actually wanted to make a video on this, and I don't think I've actually ever made a video on when Pokemon dropped or rose. And I've talked about it on Twitter, which you can follow me on. The link is down below, twitter.com/joeypokeaim, a few times. I talked about it in videos and streams, but I definitely wanted to make a separate video on this. Excuse me. So first off, I'm just gonna go in order that they're listed here. We got a bunch of cool drops. The first one is Celebi finally dropped from OU to UU. Obviously, they haven't updated it on Showdown, but this is something that I talked about for a while, and I knew it was going to happen. This is great for UU, and I'll actually explain for some of these why they dropped, or why they may have dropped, or why their usage went down, and why they're good in the tier that they're in, or how they will affect it. Obviously, most of this is speculation. My opinion, feel free to disagree. And you can say what you think about the tier shifts in the comment section down below. I will enjoy reading those. But if you're going to be like, oh, Smogon sucks, blah, 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 I can't use my favorite Pokemon, I'm sorry, but, that complaining isn't going to solve anything. Anyway, so first off, we have Celebi that moved from OU to UU. A very much expected drop. I'll give you a few reasons why. One, Hoopa. Hoopa was around. Though Hoopa was banned recently, this takes into account 3 months of usage, so Hoopa definitely made Celebi usage go down. The fact that just dark types in general like Bisharp are around, Tyranitar, Pursuit Trappers are everywhere between Bisharp and Tyranitar, even Scizor can run Pursuit. And Celebi's niche would be like baton passing, boost to something, but again with fast dark types running around. The fact that everything in their mom has U-turn, Landorus, Tornadus, even Tornadus spamming Hurricanes. Celebi really went down in usage, and Celebi has that niche where it's able to check sand teams, but then it can't do anything back. So the set would be like Recover, Giga Drain. If you want to take on sand teams, you have to run a bit of Spadef, that way you don't get 2 KO. That Specs Keldio's Hydro Pump after the Stealth Rock plus the sand damage. So Celebi really wasn't good at what it was doing in OU, simply because, like I said, dark types, and the fact that it's so weak to so many different types that it just wasn't able to do its job. And with Hoopa being around at the time that it was, it definitely made Celebi usage go down. Not being able to baton pass, Talonflame also wrecking it, Heat ran. Even if you ran Earth Power and something weird like that, you're giving up a slot. You're either giving up baton pass and you're getting Pursuit trapped, Sucker Punch knocked off, crunched by Tyranitar, things like that. However, the drop to UU is fantastic. This is amazing for UU, in my opinion, and I'll tell you why. Celebi is one of the most versatile baton pass users. I couldn't find the word versatile baton pass users in UU now that it can ever have. It can pass Swords Dances, it can pass Calm Mind Boost, and the great thing is UU doesn't have much that can outspeed Celebi and knock it out in one hit. Obviously, Hydreigon can threaten it with the Dark Pulse, but Celebi does outspeed that if running a positive boosting nature. And it's actually been a while since Celebi was in UU. The last time Celebi wasn't actually that good in UU around the time, but it got moved up because of OU usage. But this was around the time that Victini, Slowbro, Jirachi, Raikou were all in UU. So Celebi, though being an okay mon, wasn't that good in UU at the time, moved up to OU due to usage, was good at the time, and then moved back down, obviously. But the fact that it can pass so many things in UU, you can run weakness policy sets. I can definitely see people doing that. Cobra Berry, that way you can baton pass on Sharpedos and on Hydreigons and things like that. Its own Calm Mind attack, Subseed. Well, I don't think Subseed is that good, but I wouldn't use Stealth Rock either. But I can definitely see this mon being a baton pass user and passing to like Sharpedo, giving it SDs, and just sweeping with the speed boosts. The fact that it can come in on Whimsicott really well as well. It beats Florges 1v1 if Florges isn't Calm Mind. It can Calm Mind up alongside it. So it's just definitely a very nice and versatile mon for UU. It has Earth Power for the fire types like Arcanine and things like that. Obviously, it has to worry about like Beedrill, Chandelure, and Hydreigon. But again, you can make your set to take those on. And it's also a really nice pivot that can beat Cobalion and Swampert on its own, which is something really sick for a mon on its own, and the fact that it gets baton pass and get up its own hazards. So Celebi would definitely be a unique addition to UU, and I'm really excited to be using baton pass variants, even Calm Mind offensive variants, just because of its speed tier. Base 120, what? I was going to say base, and then I tried to say 328, and then I said I added it 128. But base 100, 328 speed is really, really nice in the tier. Obviously being outsped by Pokemon like Mienshao, and then Infernape. Well, Infernape and Cobalion and Mienshao. But you're able to deal with most of them. We have T-Wave as well. Psychic Stab is actually pretty sick in this tier too, especially combined with T-Wave. You beat Crobat by Thunder Waving and Psyching it. So definitely a really cool addition to the UU tier. That I'm excited to mess around with, especially because Calm Mind and Swords Dance variants just seem so nice in the tier. Even Weakness Policy variants with Baton Pass. Next up we got Honchkrow. Honchkrow moved down from UU to RU. Really nice addition for RU. Really overpowered, I think, addition, because a set of like Superpower, Heat Wave, Brave Bird, and then obviously Sucker Punch or even Pursuit really helps out RU. It gives you a nice Pursuit Trapper for Hoopa. If I'm not mistaken, Hoopa is still in the tier. I'm pretty sure it didn't get banned. If I'm not mistaken. But it gives you a nice addition. Yeah, it's not banned. Why would it be banned? Anyway, it gives you a nice addition, as well as the fact that, like I said, it has no switch-ins in this tier. Steelix, you want to come out? Oh, get Heat Wave, get Super Powered, 2-hit KO. Canvas, 2-hit KO by Brave Bird. Bronzong, 2-hit KO by Heat Wave. Obviously, you threaten it with Night Slash or Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is just so strong. Alamola obviously can check, but even Aggron wrecked by the Superpower. And this is just a really cool addition. On top of that, with Moxie, I can't wait to use Honchkrow in this tier. I can definitely see why it moved down from UU as well. It was one of those mons that just kills itself, basically, which is one of its main problems. With Zapdos being in the tier as well, being able to check it, Crobat being able to check it, Extreme Speed on Entei, things like that. Even Crocodile getting off that Intimidate, coming in on Sucker Punches and being able to knock it out, and Aggron, Mega Aggron, being able to wall it. I can understand why Honchkrow was moved down and wasn't used as much, but definitely a powerhouse. I expect it to be in the RU tier, barely having switch-ins, if not any. Everything is 2-hit KO'd by this mon, so really cool mon. Easy to revenge kill, very frail. Rhyperior probably isn't 2-hit KO'd by Superpower, but you can mix it up with HP Grass, but definitely a really nice addition. And yeah, I'm excited to use it. Gastrodon moved down from RU to NU. I mean, not much I can say about that. The addition of Virizion to RU, Rotom, and even Gastrodon's just so passive. Pretty much everything beats this mon. It's 2-hit KO'd. It can't break through Amoonguss, or at least at the time it couldn't break through Amoonguss. Amoonguss actually moved up, but we'll talk about that. So I can understand why Gastrodon usage fell off, especially with Magneton running HP Grass everywhere. Slowking, outclassing as a bulky water. Gastrodon's niche being like Clear Smog over that. Slowking can Calm Mind up. So definitely understandable why that mon. And also with the addition of Venusaur to the tier, Gastrodon's usage just went down because Venusaur is just a great mon in UU. So Aggron moving from RU to NU. I think it's a really cool addition for NU. I know a lot of my stuff is really cool, but I generally am excited about Pokemon. And the fact that it's an NU, I can see like Choice Bandit Aggron spamming Head Smash. Doesn't have solid switch-ins. Weezing 2-hit KO'd. Steelix 2-hit KO'd by Earthquake with a bit of prior health. So it's a really cool addition, really fun addition, being able to spam Head Smash. I guess it dropped from RU. My main guess and my main assumption, and this is what I'm going with, is that Mega Steelix completely outclasses Aggron. As a Stealth Rocker, it's a ground type, so you can't Voltage on it. It's bulkier than that. Aggron is 4 times weak to ground as well. No recovery outside of that. Steelix doesn't have recovery either, but I think it's just a better Stealth Rocker overall. It's bulky as hell, has a defense, and Aggron just went down because of that. I mean, it's outclassed by Rhyperior as a Stealth Rocker. Even technically Registeel as a Stealth Rocker, because Registeel also has, well, I don't want to say also has Thunder Wave because Aggron also has access to Thunder Wave, but Registeel is all around not 4 times weak to ground or fighting, so I definitely understand why it dropped. And But it's a cool addition for NU just because it can spam Bandit, Head Smash, and 2-KO everything in the tier. And Bandit Heavy Slam, things like that. Bandit Earthquake. That's definitely a set I see myself using. Another one, DJ Khaled. Another one that dropped down and that I'm really excited for is Conqueror. Conqueror has finally, after like 3,000 years, that's a reference to AZ, but it dropped down to UU, and I am so excited to use this mon. A lot of people are talking about bulk up. I'm looking at Sheer Force. Sheer Force, Poison Jab for Florges. Ooh, Poison Jab. Got a nice Thunder Punch for bulky waters if you want that for like Slowking and things like that. Suicune, Alamola, they are 2-KO'd by Adamant Sheer Force. Thunder Punch, obviously Drain Punch, and then you have Ice Punch. This is a stall breaker in itself. Now, the one thing I think with this is you probably have to run max speed because you outspeed Florges by that, but I can definitely see Florges dropping a bit of speed, or a bit of defense EVs just to raise its speed by 3 points, 4 points just to outspeed Conk. So I can definitely see Conqueror even running Jolly in the tier to outspeed Florges, because if Florges drops that much defense to raise its speed, it's not going to be good at what it does, which is, you know, checking dragons. Iron Tail's going to start OHKOing it. I mean, it'll still be good at what it does. It's a great cleric, like great wish passer, great calm minder. But the fact that Conk is down here is really nice, really bulky mon, and I think Sheer Force Life Orb, it just hits mon so hard. Poison Jab, like I said, smacks Florges. Thunder Punch, 2-KOs Alamola, 2-KOs Suicune, Drain Punch obviously for recovery and, you know, stab, and then Ice Punch is nice for Pokemon that's like Salamis are gonna want to come in right now. So really solid mon, excited to play around with this mon in UU. And a nice addition to the tier. I think Conk has been wanting to drop for a long time. I feel like it's really underrated in OU. It's really matchup oriented. Versus fat balanced teams, it smacks it with just this set right here. Clef, Slowbro, Landorus, Gliscor, gone. Chansey obviously, you know, Drain Punch. But I can understand why it dropped. A lot of people didn't use it these days, and it's just the fairy typing, Clefable everywhere. I feel like people just weren't using the right set, and I don't know, it's a tough mon to use as well, because versus certain teams, like offensive teams with Latios, even Sableye in itself, just straight up walls. Conqueror needs play rough, man. Conqueror would be top tier OU with play rough. I'm just saying. Same thing with Medicham. Medicham would be banned with play rough. But I can understand why Conqueror dropped. Next up, we have Alakazam, Mega Alakazam, and Mega Altaria. Both went down in usage and moved down to UU. However, they are not UU. Prior to their rise to OU, by usage, of course, Mega Alakazam and Mega Altaria, or the Altarianite and the Alakazamite, were both banned from UU. So they are both BL. So they're not UU. They are BL right now. Altaria drop makes sense for move slot syndrome. You want Return, you want Heal Bell versus fatter teams, you want Earthquake, but then your opponent brings Skarmory, and you wall it, pair with Magnezone. Even then, Altaria is a Pokemon that has that slot syndrome, and I feel like teams... At one point, I thought Altaria was the best Mega. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Altaria was the best Mega, because teams weren't prepared for it. And obviously there was Venusaur and things like that in Skarm, but now I feel like every team is prepared for Altaria. You have pivots from Landorus into steel types like Scizor, Skarmory, even Venusaur itself, even though Venusaur does have kind of low usage. Jirachi is rising in popularity, Heatran is everywhere, and obviously Ferrothorn, Sandteens with Excadrill, the fairy typing in general, Clefable just walls, and Bold Clef is also rising in popularity, so it's not 2-KO'd by Altaria once again. Also, not really have to do with this, but Bullclef is also rising in popularity because electric types are kind of becoming non-existent in the OU tier. Usually you had some Spadef, that way you weren't 2-KO'd by Thundurus' Thunderbolt, but Thundurus is a great mon. I think it's a great mon. I think Nasty Plot is really nice versus balance and just slower teams in general, but it's not used as much. Raikou hits like crap anyway. Specs isn't really used as much on Raikou as AV is or Leftovers, just because you get pursuit traps anyway once you lock yourself in the move. Ground types are on every team. And then obviously there's Manectric, which is also going down in usage because fatter teams with Hippo, Lotties everywhere. Yes, you can pursuit trap those mons, but this is something I talk about with CB, like electric types are just going down in usage. Another mon, really big jump right here. We see the Quagsire jump from NU to OU. I mean, this is like no brainer. Why? Stall. Stall is popular in OU. It was while Hoopa was around. It is while Hoopa is banned. And Quagsire is a staple on Stall. It's your unaware mon that checks Zard X in every setup sweeper, especially Curse Quagsire coming around. ABR Stall was running around with Quagsire banned and Weavile, the team that I used in that one live. No brainer why Quagsire went up. Smeargle actually dropped from the RU tier, to NU. Which is interesting because you would think that Smeargle has, you know, a lot of versatility, which it does. Stealth Rock, Sticky Web, Spikes, and things like that. The thing is, though, RU has, like, it doesn't have bad, what I'm trying to say? It doesn't have bad defoggers like Flygon. Flygon and Golbat everywhere, literally everywhere. Even Togetic is running around right now because it obviously checks those Dragon types. So it doesn't have bad defoggers at all. It doesn't have bad hazard removal. So that's why pretty much Smeargle went down. Smeargle can't do its job. It can't keep up hazards. Yes, it has Sticky Web. It has Nuzzle. You can paralyze them, but you ain't going to keep up your hazards, especially when you have Pursuit Trappers like Sneasel and Spiritomb running around to kill you after. A good Rapid Spinner and Hitmontop. Hitmontop is actually a really good Rapid Spinner. It has Foresight. And then Hitmonlee is even a pretty decent Rapid Spinner, as well as Blastoise dropping down, as well as Blastoise being in the tier. Another Pokemon with Foresight. So Smeargle's just not able to do his job. However, in the NU tier, NU actually lacks solid defoggers, I feel. I mean, there's the rare Archeops with defog, and then there's, if you want to use a Vullaby, I guess there's Pokemon like that. Mantine, which is weak to Stealth Rock. So this is a Pokemon that could potentially shine in this tier. You have nice spin blockers in Rotom. Shiftry obviously has defog, but again, Shiftry is so weak to pretty much everything, and then Xatu as well. But I feel like if you pair Smeargle with, like, if you make a Nuzzle Smeargle, you paralyze Xatu, and you pair it with Skuntank, which actually is a pretty decent defogger, actually a great defogger in the tier. Defogs on Rotom, has HP Grass and Dark Pulse and Taunt and Fire Blast and all that stuff. So, I'm not sure how Smeargle is going to do. If you can prevent the defog, you're fine, but definitely I think it has a better shot in NU than it did in RU, just because RU just had stacked with defoggers and good spinners. Mawile moved down from NU to PU. I mean, I guess Mawile's niche in NU before was the bulky Stealth Rocker, the fact that it can take on Pokemon like Scyther. And again, I'm going through this just to refresh my memory to go through the tier as we're doing this. But it can take on Scyther, it has Intimidate. It can take on Swallow if it's not Specs Boomburst. But, I mean, Mawile is just, I don't know. It's weird to say. I don't like using Stealth Rock on Mawile. I feel like there's better Stealth Rocker like Golurk is a great offensive Stealth Rocker. It has that presence. Mesmer is just a great Stealth Rocker. Rhydon just smacks this thing all around. And Steelix is just an even better Steel type, arguably. Only thing that Mawile has over Steelix besides Baton Pass would be the Super Fang. But I can understand why it went down. And next up, we're going to be looking at Sylveon. Another, finally, for the UU tier. Now, Sylveon was a mon that was always OU, not because it was necessarily a good mon, but because on old Baton Pass chains, this mon used to be sick when you used to be able to Baton Pass speed boost and things like that, and they didn't limit Baton Pass. But Sylveon going down in usage, Baton Pass finally almost gone, not almost gone, like now it's more of, you know, you pass SDs, you pass Combines, you can't pass Speed Boost. So Sylveon was bound to fall down, and it finally came down to UU. I cannot wait to use this mod. The only thing this thing has over Florges, besides the fact that Hyper Voice is stronger than Moonblast with Pixelate, is that it is slightly more physically defensive just because of its HP stat. Otherwise, Florges is faster, and it's a great aromatherapy passer, but this thing passes Fat Wishes, it's just slightly bulkier on the physically defensive side than Florges, but it also has Hyper Voice, and I can see cool sets like Specs running around because that 2 KOs literally everything. Resist? No, you don't exist. So Specs Hyper Voice is something I can see running around. Combine Baton Pass variants to Hydreigons is something I could definitely see. More offensive variants. I could even see something cool like Rest Talk Combine, because that can 1v1 Stall, considering Stall and UU. The great thing about Quagsire moving up from NU to OU is I don't got to deal with Quagsire in NU, I don't got to deal with Quagsire in RU, I don't got to deal with Quagsire in UU. And there were Quagsire Stalls in every single tier, okay? But now there can only be one. So, not like Quagsire wall this thing everywhere. Obviously, Sylveon's going to have a little bit of a problem because Metagross and Nidoqueen, Nidoking are in the tier. However, those things are 3 KO'd by Specs. Hyper Voice, if I'm not mistaken. Fortress is easy to get KO'd. The Blade is going to take like 50% minimum after Stealth Rock, so that's going to be 2 KO'd. Obviously Crobat, but again, if you're specs, you can run Side Shock and deal with those. So resisting doesn't necessarily mean you're living. This could be really cool as a nuke, definitely as a nuke, similar to Porygon Z, even though that thing is ridiculously nice with Tri-Attack. But Sylveon, nice. I like the fact that it will take Iron Tail from Salamence better. Definitely a really cool mon. It also has access to Curse, which is something interesting to look at. Curse plus Baton Pass. And it's also a mon that, like, Stall doesn't appreciate dealing with at all. Standard Stall, let me think of a standard Stall. You'd have Blissey, Alomola, Steelix, maybe Salamence, Tangrowth. Those are all Pokemon that I can see on standard UU Stall. Occasionally Chestnut, Cresselia, things like that. Obviously your Florges as well for your Cleric occasionally. But all mons that Sylveon can blow back with the right set. So definitely a sick mon, and it also gives us a new fairy type as well to spam in the tier, making Sableye that much more bad to use. Especially Umbreon too. Ooh, blowback Umbreon, I like that. Now Amoonguss, same thing, moved up from RU to OU. This is because of stall. You generally want Amoonguss on your stall to deal with Pokemon like Calmine Clefable because you have Clear Smog. Deal with Azumarill and Keldeo, pretty much those bulky waters, those waters that are threats, even Manaphy to an extent, depending on the set, Rotom, things like that, Superior checked. So, understandable why Amoonguss moved up from RU to OU, simply because of stall, simply because, not even stall either. I've seen some balances, that sand balance team with Lopunny, Tyranitar, Amoonguss. Like, Amoonguss is just a mon that's good. It has Spore, 100% accurate, it has Regenerator, it has a lot of stuff going for it. This also checks fairy types like, well, I said fairy types before, but it also checks Pokemon like Diancie as well as Altaria, so it's understandable why Amoonguss rose up. And again, great thing about this is I don't got to deal with Amoonguss in RU, I don't got to deal with Amoonguss in UU, all I got to do is deal with it in OU. So, last mon, crazy rise for Zapdos right here. Zapdos was just a great mon in UU. Specs was so powerful. Thunderbolt, Discharge, Volt Switch, Hidden Power, Grass, and the Heat Wave pretty much hit everything hard if you were not named Blissey. And also was a great defogger that UU had, but it's also understandable why it went up. Some stalls came around with Zapdos, like White Queen stall, and man used Zapdos in every tier. In tours, performed well with it, so understandable why. Well, the usage also, because tour usage also affects ladder usage, because people are like, oh, that looks pretty cool, and start using it on the ladder. Also the fact that Static was recently released, and it's kind of like a new toy, similar to Superior, similar to Volcanion. When it gets released, people want to play with it, especially because Pokemon is so rarely granted, I don't know what you want to call it, DLC, so rarely granted new things that people want to play with it. So obviously the release of Static definitely raised usage a bit closer towards the end, and as well as the fact that this thing checks Scizor, Talonflame. It's a defogger that can beat Bisharp, so I can understand why this thing started rising in popularity as well. I don't necessarily know how well it's going to do though in OU. Obviously the static is pretty ridiculous. I can't U-turn on out of there with my Landorus because Zapdos comes in and just static paralyzes me. Great defogger as well, but we'll see. Zapdos did move down before, due to the fact that it just wasn't getting its job done. Diancie being around, Tyranitar, Heatran pretty much taking it on 1v1, Keldeo 2 KOing with Specs Pump, Hippo on every team, the Lottie's beating a 1v1. So we'll see how long Zapdos lasts, but this is definitely a loss for UU, if anything, over a gain for OU, because this was just a great mod in the UU tier, being able to check so much, like Crawdons and just setup mods in general. Like Cobalion has to run Stone Edge to deal with this, and it was just a great mon in the UU tier. So UU is definitely going to miss this mon, but as well as a defogger that beats Crobat as well and has Volt Switch. So really cool mon in the tier, and UU is definitely going to miss it. But I think that's it for the drops and rises. Hopefully I made sense in everything I said. I wasn't necessarily trying to convince you of anything, but I was giving my thoughts on it and why they may have dropped, why they may have risen, and things like that. So hope you guys all enjoyed. If you want these types of videos every few months, if we get, every 3 months is when we get the drops, unless we get quick drops. But if you want these type of videos, or if you like these type of videos where I discuss it, give my opinion on things, and if we get such drastic drops and changes like this, like Honchkrow to RU is so cool, Celebi to UU's, Celebi, Conkeldurr, and Sylveon are definitely my favorite, on top of the Honchkrow an Aggron drop, and the fact that Quagsire is gone from any lower tier. Those are all my favorite, definitely. Yu is like crazy right now. I was actually talking to Teal. Teal is a very accomplished UU player. Great SBL record, just great UU player in general. And he was talking to me, he was like, dude, it's so hard to build a team that checks everything right now. UU feels so crazy right now. And Tony was saying the same thing, so that's just something to think about. We'll see, though, how we adjust, how the council decides. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you guys all enjoy. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe, do your thing. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.